Welcome to Mama Mandala. I'm Hagar. So grateful to have this moment with you with this new moon in Pisces. Pisces is the archetype that completes the cycle around the zodiac wheel. So it's the sign that takes us through the end of the cycle and drops us into a new beginning. Now, here's the cool thing, this new moon shows up right at the end of Pisces season. So the majority of this lunation is going to be in the sign of Aries. There's this invitation here to embrace the ancient one, the Pisces one, this archetypal presence that lives in us as primordial waters, as the waters of the ocean from which everything emerges, from the waters of the womb where life begins, and the waters that also marks the invitation to dissolve all boundaries. We'll talk about the shadow of this in a moment, but to dissolve all limitations and to drop into this vastness of being that is inside of us and all around us. That's, in a very nutty nutshell, the energy of Pisces. But the majority of this lunation is going to be in Aries, which is this spark of renewal, this spark of something starting. It's the energy of spring emerging from the dark soil of winter. It's the energy of the urge to begin something new. It's desire to show up, to create something, to make something, while we're being held also in the Piscean presence that allows us to complete something, to drop it all, to almost imagine this floating in the waters of being. All archetypes, let's just kind of lay it down, all archetypes have aspects that are helpful, that can be embraced in us as something to work on, to generate more of, to weave more deeply into relationship with other archetypes. And all archetypes also hold shadows or hold aspects that we may not tend to see, that are a little problematic, the aspects of the archetype in ourselves that are that or in society that have things in them that are not so helpful, or that taken to the max or to the edge can cause harm, right? So if there's no boundaries, right? If there's this in Pisces, there's this limitlessness, which is wonderful. It's the reminder that we are part of everything, that everything is a part of us, that we are, it's the all one talk, right? Which is very important to have, as long as it is also in relationship with differentiation, with individuation, with boundaries. So if there's no boundaries, we're in trouble, right? We don't know how to respect another, and there is another, because we live in a paradox. So Pisces really doesn't see the paradox, but because in the energy of Pisces there's this dissolution of difference, there's this this total embrace in oneness, in cosmic qualities of the infinite embracing us all, which is so wonderful and beautiful and needed. And then if we forget that there is you, and that there's me, and that there's a difference between you and me, and that I have the boundary of my skin and you have the boundary of yours, if we forget that, then we're in trouble, right? And we want to be able, I think, when we work with archetypes, to why it's so important to see both the helpful qualities, the aspects of the archetype that are important to engage with, and the aspects of the archetype that are problematic, that are also really important to engage with, because it's important to integrate and engage and have a conversation with our shadow. It's important to see the issues. It's just we don't want to focus only on the issues. We want to be able to see a very vast, wide picture. And Pisces is really good at the broad perspective, at the vastness of being. It just forgets that within that picture there are differences, there are different colors, there's a diversity of being, and it's not all the same. Okay, sameness is not the same as oneness, right? There's oneness, and then there's always more. So Pisces is oneness, and that there's always more is that at the end of Pisces season, Aries season begins, right? That at the end of a completion of a cycle, a new one emerges. And in that newness, we're reminded that the things that we dissolve in that completion, in the end, are going to nourish the growth and the regeneration that happen in the new one. In a way, I think about this a lot. I think about how Pisces is like the Buddha, right? It's this enlightenment. It's this equanimity. You can think of the yogis in India that have meditated into what is called transcendence, are in this state of equanimity. You can call it in Sanskrit samadhi. In Buddhism, it's nirvana, right? It's the extinguishing of all differences, of all desires, of all experiences. And essentially in Buddhism, it's the it's the desire to extinguish suffering, right? But if we extinguish suffering, we extinguish everything else, because life is complex, because life, it has a lot of different waves and phases in it. Sometimes when we're in a phase, particularly a phase of suffering, we forget, and I say we because I think I'm not the only one, we forget that there's going to be another phase, that the possibility of renewal is there, that more will be revealed, that there's another wave of experience that is going to wash over the shore of this experience and bring with it something new and something else, and that change is inevitable, and that we have the capacity and the power to actually make changes, to make a difference. The cyclicality, it's so beautiful because it's a repetition, right? It's a recursion. We're in the cycle. So here we are again, right? Here we are on the verge of another spring. But there's also the reminder that we can change, that the darkness of winter gives way to the light that starts to become, that on the equinox is going to be equal, right? To the darkness and the light on the equinox are equal, but then we tip over toward the light part of the year. This is, of course, from a northern hemisphere perspective. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, you flip it all on its head. Pisces actually shows up on the ushering you from summer into fall. So it's all on its head. It's really fun to play with it, actually, because it's a reminder. It's the Piscean reminder of the interwovenness, that what's included is a lot more than what we think, than what meets the eye. And it's also in the shadow of Pisces, we see it as no difference, right? As it doesn't matter that somewhere else it's the opposite. But really it does. It's what gives it flavor. Difference is what gives life flavor. So to go back to this Buddhist, to the Buddhist perspective, the extinguishing of the experience, the nirvana, right, is the goal for the Buddha. It's almost like we can think of Pisces as like reaching this state where there's no more ups and downs, where there's no more movement, or that the movement doesn't really matter. And we want to ask ourselves, when is that helpful? When is equanimity and equilibrium and this kind of serenity is helpful? Because it's going to be helpful at certain moments. Archetypes can be helpful, right? The archetypal presence of Pisces, of an enlightened kind of a vision of an equilibrium state, can be really helpful, but it can be, because it has been, and the majority of spiritual traditions are going to tell us that that's the goal, right? So it can be a goal, but it doesn't need to be. And in a way, in my opinion, and it's really just an opinion, it's healthier if it isn't the goal, because if that state is the goal, then what happens when Aries season begins, right? What happens when the urge, the primal urge, when primal desire arises again, and it will arise again, I promise, right? What happens when the anger that comes with the spark of Aries, the short temperedness that comes, what happens with that? What happens when we're living in a world where, I mean, there's war right now, yet again. There's this, there's the presence of authoritarianism. It's not on the rise. It's here, and it's not just in one place in the world, but in many places in the world, which is also just shows us the cyclicality of life, right? Because history shows up in new and in old ways again. So what happens when the rage and the resistance and the anger and the frustration arises again, when it is appropriate for it to rise? Do we want to just quiet it, extinguish it, do the Pisces thing of it doesn't matter, it's all one? I don't think so, right? That's, we now all call it spiritual bypass, right? So how do we weave this vastness of the mystic Pisces into relationship with the cyclicality of life that is going to arrive with other phases, that is going to come and go and show up? If we're in Pisces, we're in waters, right? So we're not going to calm the waters and that's it, like the Patanjali Yoga Sutras want us to do. We're going to calm the waters so that we can see things from a calm perspective. And we're going to have to learn to ride the waves, not just always stay calm, because it's important to be able to heat up and cool down. It's important to know how to be with depression. Depression is it's actually, in a way, in the shadow of Pisces as well. It's the deep waters of depression, of losing touch with the world, of being so far in the vastness that there's no connection to reality, right? To the world, where we're submerged in the water and can't rise back up for air. We need to be able to rise back up for air. We need air signs, we need fire signs, we need to ignite some experiences, we need the water signs, and we need the earth signs. We need to be able to ground the experience. So Pisces tends to be very ungrounded. It's the vastness of the beautiful waters, but it's not grounded in reality. It's one of the things that are going to come up with this archetype is this disconnect from reality. The shadow is that there's delusion, right? A disconnect from what is actually around us, what reality really is. That's why there's in the archetype of Pisces, there's a tendency to addiction, right? The tendency to escapism. And here's the thing, again, when the world goes through so much, when we are faced with this bombardment of suffering and fear, and a lot of us feel disillusioned. We just feel, oh, like what the fuck, right? How are we going to continue? And that is, those feelings are valuable. They're important. We have to have those feelings. It's almost, I'm gonna say it, but take it with a grain of salt. It's not appropriate to not have human reactions to life experiences. I don't think that that's where our spirituality needs to go. And it's very natural and very normal to want to escape the suffering, to want to not see all that's happening, to want to turn our backs on the news, to want to turn ourselves away, to want to go. It's normal that we want to go to the mountains and meditate in a cave and gain samadhi and forget about the world. It's a normal desire to have, but see, it's a desire. So you can't really escape desire. You're going to have it. It's going to emerge. It's going to show up. And in this moment where we're in this threshold, we're on the verge, cosmically, astrologically, and in the world, what if we could embrace, really, we go back to that, what if we could embrace, instead of transcend, Pisces is so much about transcendence, what if instead of transcending the paradox, we embrace it? We go, yeah, I want to hold all the different parts of me. And Pisces has that capacity because it's the vastness of the ocean. So it holds it all in its waters. It holds the entirety of being. And then it has to release and give way for a new spark to emerge from within it. For Aries to come in and cause some friction. Aries has friction and contradiction. So we want to live with peace and conflict held in a paradox of it's not even what's needed, it's just here. So we need to learn to live with both and engage with both the shadow and the light of both. I hope this makes some sense. I hope it's somewhat helpful for you to kind of hold this moment in this renewal. I know it was a little wordy, so I apologize if this didn't make much sense and was all over the place. But I enjoy having these conversations with you. I hope you like them too. And for the equinox, for the spring equinox, I'm re-releasing my somatic ceremony because I think we need some sacred spaces right now. So if you want to get this deep collection of rituals and a mythopoetic conversation with a lot of different archetypes of spring, with the teachings of the season, and 6 different ways to bring them into the body to make them a somatic experience. I'm opening the spring equinox somatic ceremony, and I'm going to leave a link for you in the description of this video so that you can go there and check it out. And I hope that you can receive it and work with it and let it inspire you and enliven you in all these different ways. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. And I also wrote an inspiring piece yesterday for my Substack for the Muse Medicine Substack, and it is about the archetype of spring, and particularly in relationship with what's going on in the world right now. And I think you might find it really interesting. So I'll leave a link for you for yesterday's Substack piece in the description of this video. If you like this, put a like on it. That actually would be deeply appreciated by yours truly. And also for moon, if you are into the moon and its archetypes and the seasonal archetypes, subscribe to my mailing list and you will get a free ritual guide to create your own rituals. But also on my mailing list, I send moon messages on the new and on the full moon, plus other musings. So subscribe there. I'll leave a link as well. And I am so grateful for your presence. Thank you so much for joining me for this. And I will see you soon. Okay, thanks so much.